chat for your day. We're glad you came our way. Busted brains, bonkers ideas, and friends you've heard before. Settle in, let's chat. How did this happen? We'll soon say. How did this happen?
Hey all, welcome back to the How Did This Happen podcast, which sounds really weird to say if I'm being honest, but that's where we are. We got a podcast. We're doing full on real life, like honest to God episodes of this thing. And so I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're listening. I hope you find this interesting. We're going to talk today about dun 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 winter in New Hampshire, which I'm sure is a topic nobody has ever talked about before. So that's kind of cool. We're going to be the first ones. Obviously that's not, anyway, you get it. So but you get it, it's a thing. Like, this winter in New Hampshire is a big part of our lives because we live here, so that's how that works. And interestingly enough, the area we live in, New Ipswich, the area of New Ipswich even, seems to get more snow than anywhere else. Like, a couple years ago in April, I think it was 2 years ago in April, we had 3 feet of snow. And everybody else got snow, but they didn't get 3 feet. They got like maybe 30 inches, which don't be, I mean, that's still a lot. But it's less, right? So we get a lot of snow here. A lot. Like this winter, the snow piles around the driveway are taller than me, and it's killing my arms. It's brutal. It's not so bad when you're like using the snow thrower, because who cares? It does a pretty good job. It throws the snow basically where I need. Not a big deal. But boy, when you're doing that cleanup stuff and you have to throw snow over the height, like higher than your head, it's kind of a lot. So that's where we're at this year. We've had that kind of snow, which honestly is really cool. I like having all that snow. I don't like the cleanup part, but I like having the snow. Having snow is like, it's this cool resource that people probably don't really see it as. And I mean, some people do, right? Like if you own a plowing company, plowing people out, we see that stuff on Facebook all the time. Like all these little local people that are like, hey, I got a plow. There was just a big storm. Call me if you need to get plowed out, right? You probably make $30 a driveway or something like that. I have no idea. But anyway, so yeah, it's a resource in that respect. But I perceive snow as a resource in a very different way. Like to me, it's a building material, right? It's clay that you can sculpt and do something fun with. And that probably comes from the fact that like as kids, we always made snow sculptures in the winter. You know, we were hoping for those days when it was going to be just warm enough that the snow was packable, but it was going to get cold again, so that anything we made would stick around for a while. Because these things, yeah, I mean they're there, but they don't really stick around all that long. They tend to disappear quicker than you want them to. But this is always a thing we did. We always built snow sculptures, and I just always loved doing that. We've done lots of stuff like that. In fact, so like Rachel and I recently, last year, we made snow sculptures using those big piles on the end of the road. I think it's super fun to do that. We made this octopus that was in one of the snowbanks. It used up like half of the snowbank, this giant octopus. We did the whole 8 legs and a big bulbous head coming out of the top of the snowbank, and the legs were all like built into the side of the snowbank, so you didn't have to make, fully articulated legs or whatever. Okay, I know articulated is the wrong word, but you get my point. They didn't have to be like outside, like they were just carved into the snowbank. You get it. It's a bas relief. Bass relief. Anyway, there's no fish involved, but it was pretty cool looking. Just octopus, pusses, pie, octopodes, whatever. So we built that octopus. We carved that out, and that was kind of fun too, because we also took some squirt bottles and filled them up with real simple colored water. We just used just like the cheapy food coloring. Add some water, boom, and we sprayed it all down, made it like this big purple octopus. It was really cool. We did the ocean behind it, the whole deal. It was really neat. And I think that year we also did sort of like I wanted to make one of those lions you'd see at the end of a driveway, like the cement lion. That was the goal. But it kind of came out more like a sphinx. It didn't it really didn't look like a lion, which is okay. It was just a thing, right? It was just this weird sculpture. And painting it yellow wasn't maybe the greatest idea because, yellow snow, that's not awesome. So I tried to make it look more lion slash tigerish by putting some brown or black stripes on it. Didn't really come out as well as I'd hoped. I think you just need to do solid colors, and yellow snow, maybe not the best choice, but it came out pretty cool. And that was just last year, right? I mean, like I said, I've done this stuff for years and years. Like way, way when I was a kid, we used to do, outside of just like building forts inside the snowbanks, which, boy, you could have made, I could have stood up inside the fort, inside these snowbanks. They're so big. It would have been awesome. But we usually did crazy stuff like, make the biggest snowman you can, which I'm sure is something most people have done. But, that was fun. Or I remember we made a big toilet in the yard. That was cool. I don't think my parents loved it so much, but it was fun for me. So, we do crap like that. And what I used to do actually at our old place, so before we moved here, we lived in Sydney, Maine. We had a nice big backyard. It was all fenced in and stuff, and the dogs can run around out back there. And it was pretty flat, which was nice. So when we got a lot of snow, I could build like obstacle courses for the dogs. So they would have like things they could climb around on. They'd have tunnels and bridges, and I made all these sculptures out of ice by freezing ice in buckets on the back porch, and then pulling it out and making arches and columns and all kinds of stuff. It was pretty cool, but it was a lot of work, and I think we had longer snowy periods up there. I don't know. Haven't done that in a while. That was too much. It was fun, but it was just too much effort. So I don't think I'm going that far this year. We did do one little snow sculpture this year. So the one we did was basically a giant cup of soup. And I made this out in front of the trailer, out in front of the house, and it kind of turned into sort of like this mascot. It was just a big cup. It was like the size of, I don't know what it was the size of exactly. I don't know, it's probably like 4 feet across and 4 feet high. Just a big, simple, giant block, basically, rounded off to make it look like a cup. And I put an arm on it, a handle, by getting a branch that was kind of in the right shape and using that as the bone. You got to have the bone in the arm. You can't just do floppy arm made out of snow because that shit will fall right apart. Anybody bumps it, breaks. It's no good. No matter how frozen it is, it's really fragile. So you put the bone in it, right? Get get some kind of structural integrity to it. And that worked pretty well. So we had this giant cup out front, and I used the snowman kit. I put the snowman kit in it, so it had a face, And oh, by the way, yeah, you probably don't know what a snowman kit is. So let me explain. A snowman kit is actually this thing that was originally sold. Well, maybe not originally, but my first recollection of it was being sold by LL Bean. They actually sold this thing. They called it a snowman kit, and it was just a wooden, carrot, basically, 2 wooden eyeballs, which might have been buttons or something, and then like 3 wooden pieces of coal, and they were all on sticks, right? So each one of these wooden items was on a stick, and what you do is you build your snowman. And if this doesn't, it should feel obvious, like you take the eyeballs that are on sticks, you put the sticks in the snowman where you want the eyeballs to be, you like pack them in there, and bam, you got eyeballs. Carrot nose, corn buttons for the buttons down the front, or the coal buttons for the front of the thing, and snowman kit. So it's kind of cool. But my mom saw that and she thought, oh, that's cool, but I'm not paying $20 for that, which may not sound like a lot, but this was probably back in the 70s. So $20 then was more like $8,000 now, because I think that's how inflation works. So she's like, I'm not paying $8,000 for this snowman kit. I'll just make my own. And she did. So we got a snowman kit that she put together, and we've added to it over time, kind of like make sure the pieces that are falling apart, you just get new ones, and it's real simple. But I stuck that in it. So I stuck that in this giant soup cup that I made. and it came together really nice. Like it's pretty good looking soup cup, if I do say so myself. It's on this little pitch. It's basically got like a platform that it's on. We use those big letters that we had on the side of the trailer that spelled out soup. I took those and I put those across the front of it. So it's very clearly like a thing. There's no confusing that this is a soup related thing there. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I liked it. It's facing the road. It's like people can see it as they drive by. And I decided to name it Snowy Stew. You know, because stew and he's snowy. So you get how that works. Yeah, so I named him Snowy Stew, and we decided to turn him into like this little contest for the business, where if you take a photo with Snowy Stew and post it and tag us, then that's your entry into a little sweepstakes where we just choose the ones we like the most, and we'll give away some free food. So real simple, but fun, kind of just a fun little way to enjoy making something and then also having it have a secondary function, which is cool. So that's what happened this year. We didn't do any other major sculptures. In fact, I don't think we did any other sculptures at all, unless you consider a giant pile taller than you are a sculpture. But anywho, yeah, Snowy Stew, he's doing great. Oh wait, no, he's not. It's too hot today, and he melted away pretty much. Yeah, the Snowy Stew didn't last all that long. We made him 2 weeks ago, I think, and it was really cold. We had a bunch of really cold nights. I put them all together. He'd get a little tiny bit melted during the day, so he'd get icy, and then it would freeze up overnight, and it was working great. And now we're having like a week of 50-degree weather, so he ain't gonna make it. I think his arm already, all you can, like his handle is just a bone now, so that doesn't look great. His face fell off. Also doesn't look that great when your face falls off. So, I mean, so I'm told. I wouldn't know. I've never had that problem. But yeah, so I don't think he's going to make it this week, which is too bad, but that's okay. Because I think what I decided I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that he went on vacation up north for the summer, right? He's the opposite of a snowbird, whatever that is. He's a sun seal. I don't know. I'll have to look up what the opposite of a snowbird is because I don't think that's right. Anyway, that's what I think I'm going to do because it feels kind of fun. He's like, he was here and he was around for a couple of weeks and people got to see him and he took off. He's gone on vacation, which is great because that means next year, if we get some good snow, we can bring Snowy Stew back. And I think that'd be cool to kind of bring that back around each year. But I would like to do some other sculptures too. There's enough snow out there. We could have done more stuff. I think we were just dealing with enough other things that it was a little much to do that also and take time out to go out in the cold, which not a huge fan of the cold, if I'm being honest. It's a necessary evil in New Hampshire, but it's all right. So maybe we'll do some more next year though. Although I will say, with all this snow, we had a lot of snowmobilers go through. We had a couple weeks weekends specifically, like the weekend is when they come through. They're not really, people aren't out snowmobiling on Tuesday, There's a couple, very rare, but there's a few during the week here and there. But during the weekends, whoo! So we had a big snowstorm about 3 weeks ago, and I think we got like 16 inches of snow or something. And that weekend, there must have been 200. Okay, that's too much. 100. That still sounds kind of high. Anyway, like in the high tens. That sounds low. Okay, 80 snowmobilers went through. That's my wild guess. Probably 80 snowmobilers, and a bunch of them were probably like people that went through and then just came back. But still, that's how many times snowmobiles went right past our house on Trail 402 over here. It's pretty cool that you just keep seeing them every so often. You hear wing, and it's just that traditional snowmobile noise, and you're like, oh yeah, there's definitely some snowmobiles coming through. And then all of a sudden you'd see a batch of them go through. It's kind of a weird thing being out in an area where that happens. I don't know if real weird is the right word, but it's interesting to be in this culture, I guess, where all these people have snowmobiles. And I feel kind of bad because they get like 3 or 4 good weekends a year around here. Like there's not a ton of snow. Anyway, they make it work. I mean, if they want to spend, I don't know what these things cost, but a lot on a snowmobile, I hope they get to use it, you know? So anyway, on those weekends where it's good, yeah, there'll be like 80, 100 maybe going through. And interestingly enough, on those same days when there's all these snowmobiles going through, there'll be like 6 cars. It really shifts. Like people just switch over and they're out snowmobiling and they're not going anywhere else during the day. Even though our road is a pretty good crosscut between 2 towns. So I don't know, kind of interesting with that part of it. We living where we are. I mean, winter's all over New Hampshire, obviously, but we get all the snowmobiles coming through, so it's kind of cool. But anyway, it feels like it's coming to a close a little bit. This week is going to be in the 40s and even the 50s a couple of days. So I expect a lot of these giant snowbanks are going to kind of go away, also go on vacation, which is probably good because you can barely see the house. It's a little much. Anyway, so winter in New Hampshire and kind of how it affects us. That's sort of the things that we've seen this year. Hoping we won't get that late April 3-foot snowstorm like we did a few years ago. That wasn't fun. I'd rather avoid that. I'm also not particularly excited to see how much damage has been done to the pool cover because it feels like every single year we get a couple of the anchors that hold the cover down. They snap, and that's whatever. One more thing that needs to be fixed. So I'm hoping all the snow that's out there hasn't, I don't know, broken too much because it tends to be a thing. But otherwise, I do love the winter. I really do. I know I kind of make it sound like some of the stuff is a pain in the ass, and sure, but some of the stuff in summer is a pain in the ass too. So let's not pretend like winter's different. Yeah, you have to shovel. But yeah, once that's done, everything's great. You know, in summer, oh, you got a sunburn, you got to fix that. But once that's good, everything's good. You know, it's the same kind of problem. Is that the same problem? It's not, but I'm going to call it the same thing because I don't really care. And also, I don't know how to end this. And I feel like I'm done talking about stuff. So we're just going to wrap it up and say that was a good little discussion between me and myself and I about winter in New Hampshire. I'm curious, anybody who happens to listen to this, what kind of snow sculptures did you make? Do you make snow sculptures? How do you, like, what have you made? What are you proud of having made? What do you wish you had made? And now that you think about it, what do you think you might make in the future? I think I'm going to do Snowy Stew again next year, but maybe something else fun too. We'll see. Hopefully we get more snow, maybe even this spring. Again, not 3 feet, just a little, just enough we can do something fun for the last bit. All right, well, that's it. Thanks for listening, y'all. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of whatever day this is.
Sun's up, come on in. Got ideas, let's begin. Hey! Little chat.